Happy Families podcast. It's the podcast for the time-poor parent who just wants answers now.
I have watched over the years, as you have done a lot of travelling and I've been at home, that I'm a lot more disciplined when you're not here because there's no one else I can rely on. I have to do it.
And now here's the stars of our show, my mum and dad.
Hello, welcome to the Happy Families podcast and a brand new week. My name's Dr. I've just become the official welcomer to the week, Kylie. I'm officially welcoming the world to a new week.
I think you might have a bit more of a spring in your step this week somehow.
I'm feeling good about life because, we'll talk about that in a sec. Justin Coulson, the author of 6 books about raising happy families and the founder of happyfamilies.com.au, and Kylie, my wife and mum to our 6 children. By the way, for those of you who are wondering, yes, we knew that we were having children. We know how it happens. We're just crazy about kids and we love them, even though based on our I'll Do Better Tomorrow on Friday, you might think otherwise. Because let's face it, last week was tough. Actually, we need to make a confession. Because of the way that our lives are, sometimes we record things a little bit in advance. And that was a little bit in advance. Now, our weeks have been a bit topsy-turvy lately, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Kylie, Mrs. Happy Families, disappeared for a week.
First time I've been away.
Come on, you've had holidays. Okay, this was total.
I've always had a child, or you, or
you've got away
friend.
with a girlfriend or something. You've had time away, but this was a totally solo week away.
First time solo.
Health retreat, Gold Coast, no telephone reception, just completely blissed out, surrounded by green space, eating vegetarian food. Oh, you had a little bit of fish or something, didn't you?
Yeah, fish and white meat.
Being very healthy.
I was trying.
And how much chocolate have you had since you came home from the health retreat?
I actually have only had one row of your chocolate that you had hiding in the cupboard that I didn't know about.
So, firstly, I keep on saying don't open that cupboard. Just don't open the cupboard because there's always going to be something there. And secondly, I didn't go on the health retreat. I didn't have the health camp. I haven't made a commitment to my health the way you have.
I didn't actually go on the health retreat for a health kick. I went for some space.
And did you get it?
I did.
Okay.
But you know what? It wasn't as romantic as you've made it.
Well, I wasn't there. How's it going to be romantic if I'm not there? I mean,
it was a really hard week. I've never done that.
Mm-hmm.
It was really hard to be away from everyone.
Oh, well, thank you.
While I was having a massage.
Right.
And sitting by the poolside. No. But seriously, it was. It was very, very confronting.
Oh, yeah. Confronting?
It was.
Yeah, how so?
Well, I've actually, in my whole 20 plus years of mothering, there hasn't been a time where I haven't been needed. I've always had someone who's needed me to do things.
Even before you were mothering, I needed you.
Yeah, well, let's not go there. I always say I have more than 6 children.
Oh, gosh. Wow. Well, today we need to talk about what I learned while you were away. So today's podcast is actually all about the life of Dr. Justin Coulson, single parent for a week. Now, before we start, I want to highlight, number one, tremendous, enormous respect to anyone who is a single parent legitimately and ongoingly. I got to do it for a week, and my insights from that are going to be, I think, fun to talk about, and hopefully will give all of us as parents some ideas about how we can do better in our parenting. But I want to really, really be clear that I'm not actually a single parent, and doing it for a week is very different to day in and day out. Having to do the juggle, but also having to live with the emotional realities and the psychological realities of being a single parent. So I just want to be respectful to those who are doing it all the time. But I thought today I might share some lessons learned from you being away for a week. Literally 7. Was it 7 nights or 6 nights?
7.
Yeah, felt like it. Felt like it just felt like a long time. So number one, my big lesson is that the kids are capable of stepping up. Like, they're much more capable. We know that they're able to do things, and at home we have to harangue them and harass them and cajole them and coerce them into helping out. But with you being gone, I sat down with the kids once I dropped you off, walked into the living room and said, all right, guys, we need to have a conversation. Mum's gone. How's it going to be? What are we going to do about dinners? And the kids volunteered. They're old enough, we're fortunate enough that they are sufficiently mature that I didn't have to cook a meal all week. Well, actually, I cooked the Sunday night meal after I dropped you off. But other than that, I didn't cook a meal all week. I said to them, I've still got to work. Like, I can't go on holidays because Mum's on holidays. I can't look after you guys in the house full time. We've got to work together as a team. And they stepped up. They cooked meals, they did folding and washing, and they tidied their bedrooms, they vacuumed floors, they even did some ironing. Not much, but they even did some ironing, and I was just amazed. In fact, they kept their bedroom cleaner than I kept my bedroom.
Oh, I did ask you when I got home if the bed had been made while I was gone.
And the answer was no.
No. It looked like it had had a hard week.
Well, only one side of the bed hadn't had a hard week at all. I just slept on that one side, and then I'd climb up, and I was like, I'm going to get back into it tonight. No one else is going to look at this bedroom for the rest of the day until tonight when I walk in exhausted from looking after all of these children, running the house, running the business. So
do we need the violins?
That's what I'm working on.
Seriously.
I'm sure JR will have put something in the background there just to highlight how hard I've had to do it while you've been away. Second big learning that I picked up, I can drop things. And I think this is really important for all of us as parents. I remember hearing an analogy. I think that it was from the CEO of Coca-Cola years ago. It did all the blog rounds and whatever social media was at the time. I think Facebook was only just becoming a thing. Like, it's that old. It was one of those email chain things that went around in the early first decade of the 2000s. And this Coca-Cola CEO said that in life, metaphorically, we're all juggling balls. Some of them are rubber, they bounce. Some of them are glass, they don't bounce. And he said sometimes the juggling gets too much and we have to let go of some balls. The trick is to not let go of the glass ones. And this week, I discovered that I could drop some balls and just keep on juggling the glass ones. So you discovered what I dropped. One of them was making the bed. Did you notice any of the balls that I allowed to drop?
Let's just say the laundry pile was a little bit bigger than I was anticipating.
Yeah. I had a feeling you were going to mention the laundry. Yeah. Anything else?
No, you did a pretty good job.
Yes. And I'm going to mention a third one just now.
That you dropped?
No, a third lesson, a third learning from all of this. I'm mentioning this one before the break so that I can run away from you while the break is on and then come back and we can get on with the podcast. But in some ways, I just want to be clear, not in all ways, just in some small ways, things are actually easier. Like, routine happens when we're not together. Because when we're together, we get caught up in conversations and you've got your agenda and I've got mine. And we're kind of, even though we're on the same page and we're wonderfully united as a couple, we still sometimes have to pull in different directions, or we pull as a couple in a direction that's not consistent with what the rest of the family needs because we want to catch up about what happened. So we'll sit in the bedroom and talk for 15 minutes rather than being out with the kids when they need us or running them somewhere. And suddenly we've discovered that we're late or something like that. And
I'm very happy for you to send me away anytime you would like to just get the routine back on track. That's fine.
Well, I mean,
because let's just put it into context. Things run a lot smoother when you're not here.
Yeah. I guess I asked for that, didn't I?
I think what happens, and I watch it with lots of people, is just when there's two people in the house, there's almost this unspoken rule that's there's somebody there to pick up the pieces, to pick up the slack, to fill in the gap.
Yes, that might be what it is.
And so you don't feel like you have to run a marathon in a day because there's someone else there who's got your back.
Do you see how you've spun this around? I've said that when you're not here, I can run the routine better and things don't fall through the cracks. But what you've really said is, Justin, when we're both here, you're lazy. And you're not picking up the slack.
I have watched over the years, as you have done a lot of traveling and I've been at home, that I'm a lot more disciplined when you're not here because there's no one else I can rely on. I have to do it.
That's precisely
But when we're together, there's almost a sense of relax because it's like, it's okay. Justin's here. He's here to help. It's going to be okay.
He's here to talk to me and hug me and take me away from the routine and all the stuff that needs. So you're blaming me. I'm blaming you. Maybe we should both move out.
Seriously.
After the break, I'm going to share my last learning of what it's like to go single dad with 5 kids for a week. And Kylie.
Did you lose one?
Well, we've got one. Actually, do you know what? Even our oldest, she came home for a night or two. Her husband's away working, and so she was feeling a bit lonely. She came and stayed as well. I had 6 kids that I looked after.
She might have been on an errand.
I can't believe you said that. It's the Happy Families Podcast with Justin and Kylie.
It's the Happy Families Podcast.
Imagine a home where discipline got results without anyone having to feel bad or in trouble. The Do's and Don'ts of Discipline is a webinar to help parents set limits with love, compassion and humanity. Find it now at happyfamilies.com.au/shop.
It's the Happy Families Podcast, the podcast for the time poor parent who just wants answers now. And today we are enjoying a wonderful look into single life for Justin after a week of me being away.
Yeah, and we've been talking about those lessons that I've learned. Kids are capable. I can drop things. And the routine actually works better when you're on your own because there's no one to pick up the slack. That's really what it came out at. I started by insulting you. You insulted me, but that's where we've ended up. So I had one more life lesson that really struck me while you were gone. But I'm wondering, while you were gone and looking at all of this, what life lessons did you come up with when it comes to me being here, running things on my own?
I had a couple. The first one for me was that when you are used to being in control, letting go is really hard. And the thought of leaving my 5 children behind with you on your own was hard for me.
As we were driving to the Gold Coast, you were actually saying, "Are you sure you're going to be okay? You know you've got to do this." Yeah, like it was. I could tell you didn't want. Yeah, it was almost like you didn't want to relinquish control.
No, and it actually has nothing to do with you and your capacity, and everything to do with my mother heart not ever wanting to be in a position where I'm not there for my children if they need me. And that was really hard. It was really hard knowing that I'm gone for a whole week, and normally I can at least make a phone call, where I didn't even really have the option to do that. So I had a whole week of radio silence from all of you. And so the realization for me was just that process of letting go was actually way harder than I thought it was going to be, because I've been asking for that week away for nearly 20 years.
Oh, come on, 20 years. Really? Actually, you probably have. It was nearly 20 years ago that I went and did it.
That's right.
Yeah. But I did it as part of study and we didn't have to pay for it.
You still got it.
Well, yeah,
20 years ago.
But I was working on that week away at that health retreat, having that time off. Did you have anything else that really stood out to you?
Well, I guess as part of that process was just this realization that my way of doing things isn't the only way to do it, and that I needed to learn to trust in the process.
Well, you say that. You say that. But when you came home and you saw the way the kids had folded the clothes, you stepped straight back into, no, there is only one way to do this and it's my way.
I did it in the bedroom. Nobody saw.
But anyway, I took you off tangent. You trusting in the process is what you were saying.
Sometimes I think that as parents, and I'm going to specifically say me as a mum, I don't allow the space for you as dad to actually step in and have these beautiful moments with our girls.
Yeah.
And so learning to let go, recognizing that my way is not the only way to do things, and then just trusting in the process of me being gone and you being the capable dad that you are, to just have the week unfold the way it needed to. And whatever that looked like, that was going to be okay.
I love that learning. I think that any parent listening to this conversation, especially any mum, could take so much from that. I hear from mums of little ones, like kids with separation anxiety because they're only 12 or 18 months old or 10 months old, whatever it is. And these kids are like, mums will say, I can't put the child down and walk out of the house without them losing the plot. And so therefore dad doesn't do anything because I'm at the top of the attachment hierarchy. And I keep on saying, sometimes you just need to put the child down and walk out. He or she will stop crying within, I don't know, a minute or two. It might go for 3 or 4 minutes, but just go to the shops, go and catch up with your girlfriend, go and do that stuff and let dad figure it out. Trust that it's going to be okay because he is number 2 on the attachment hierarchy. And once the child realizes with a little bit of love from dad at that age, it's going to be okay. And I reckon there's some really, really great wisdom there. I'm glad that you said that. I'm actually also going to add, from a couple's point of view, we actually made a decision early on in our relationship that we were never going to go on solo holidays. We knew some couples that were doing that, and he would go off on the surfing trip and she would go away on a cruise with her girlfriends, and they were at different times of the year as well. So because they had kids, right? So it's like they were actually separating for that week or that 2 weeks so that they could go and have their individual holidays. And I remember looking at you the first time we heard about that and we were like, what? Like, who would do that? And I still hate the idea of you being gone. I really didn't like being away from you for that week while you were off having a holiday. It was really hard, not because you were holidaying, but because I missed you and I wanted to have the shared experience with you. But in terms of that process stuff that you're talking about, I really think that there's value in it. And while I'm not going to suggest that we make it a regular thing, I think that a semi-regular thing is good for you and for me. And it's good for the kids as well because they get to see, they get to adapt, they get to adjust to whatever it's going to be while that happens.
Yeah, I think, thinking back on those experiences that we've had over the years and the thoughts and processes that we've gone through as we've seen other people choose to do this. And the reality is I missed being with you in such a big way and wanted to share all of the experiences that I was having with you. But as I watched other couples that were there, what I actually saw was a disengage from the whole experience because they were so focused on each other. And what happened with all of the single women and single men that were on the retreat with me was that we actually got to develop a relationship together that we wouldn't have had we had our significant other with us.
Yeah, you made new friends because...
It opened up my experience and it enlarged the opportunities that I had as a result. And I think what I got out of it was I just had such a deep need to have, other sister hearts that could nurture me and experience things with me in a different way. And it was enlarging.
Yeah, great to hear. My last lesson was just how grateful I am for you. You do so much. And as a dad to all these kids and your husband for all these years, I work really hard to make sure that you know that I don't take you for granted, that I appreciate all of the incredible things that you do for our family. But boy, oh boy, with you being gone and actually having to do my best to muddle through and get all that stuff done that I can normally rely on you for, it just made me grateful. So I'm really glad you're home, even if you are stealing my chocolate out of my secret stash cupboard. The Happy Families podcast is produced by Justin Ruan from Bridge Media. Craig Bruce is our executive producer. And if you'd like more info about making your family happier, we love it when you visit happyfamilies.com.au because a happy family doesn't just happen.